In this video, we will be discussing a potential blizzard upcoming for this weekend, Friday into Saturday. We will also give an update on the very dangerously cold temperatures expected throughout much of the United States, as mentioned in my previous video. And then finally, we will touch on the severe weather threat for Friday in the southeast United States. Please remember to like and subscribe as it greatly helps out the channel. Please feel free to let me know your feedback for these types of videos in the comments below and let me know if you're enjoying them. I know it's different than my usual content, which is usually me out in the field storm chasing or doing live streams of my storm chases, but I figured this will be beneficial for everyone and my channel included when I'm not able to be out chasing to give these types of forecast updates. Hope you enjoy. So jumping into the possible blizzard and snow, especially for the Great Lakes area, possibly parts of Illinois, parts of Indiana, especially parts of Michigan. We'll go ahead and look at the HRRR model run and for the snow. So this kind of starts out, there is this system on Thursday into Friday, especially over here, kind of in eastern Nebraska into Iowa, and then that kind of goes into Wisconsin and parts of Michigan. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the snowfall rates. So eastern Nebraska could see anywhere from probably 3 to 6 inches. Into Iowa, you're getting into more snow. You could see probably 4 to 10 inches. And then eastern Iowa, maybe a little bit more, maybe 12 inches or so. Over here in Wisconsin, could see around 12 inches or so. And then over here in Michigan, same thing, anywhere from 10 to 12. And I would like to point out that these snowfall amounts are not going to be exact right now. They're still getting honed down as we get closer to the system. This kind of just gives a good idea of what models are thinking right now for how much snowfall in these areas. If we go ahead and take a look at a longer range model, such as the GFS model that we're looking at now, you can see that the longer range model kind of puts more snow in different other places. So this system, this first round that's Thursday night into Friday, it has some more in central Nebraska, kind of northern Kansas into eastern Nebraska, but it's still kind of showing the same amounts, anywhere from 3 to possibly 6, maybe some locally higher amounts. We'll go ahead and keep moving this forward throughout Friday. And you can see it puts some decent snowfall over here in northern and northeast Missouri. Some areas possibly up to 20 inches. Once again, this is not totally accurate as of right now. And then areas 15, 16 or so inches into northern Illinois into Wisconsin. Over here in Michigan, it's showing about 9 or 10 inches or so, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. And as we move this forward throughout the weekend, there's only just going to be more snow that happens into Saturday, into Sunday as well. So parts of Michigan, this is showing 19 inches, possibly local higher amounts. Same thing over here. It's shown about the same ranges in a lot of different parts. And then as we keep moving this forward, you can see those areas just get darker and darker. For example, over here, 31 inches of snow. That is just absolutely outrageous. Not sure if that'll happen or not, but there could be some lake effect snow that sets up for Michigan, even parts of Wisconsin maybe, and northern Illinois. And I'll talk more about that here in just a minute. And then this model is even showing some snow down here in Arkansas. It's showing 10, 11 inches in some areas. And then over here in Kansas, it's showing about 12, 13 inches. So it'll be very interesting how this system actually pans out. If we go ahead and take a look at this model, this is the precipitation type rate from the GFS, and we move this forward. You can see that low pressure develops over Illinois as we move into Friday into Saturday. And you can see it's showing very heavy pink into purple there for northern Illinois, showing heavier snowfall even here in Michigan as well. And right around this low here is where those blizzard conditions might show up, as we'll have 30 to 40 at least 30 to 40 mile per hour sustained winds and higher wind gusts. We'll go ahead and move that forward. And it's kind of this backside of the slow, honestly, where I think some more of the lake effect snow might come in. I'll show that better here on a different graph here in just a second. Taking a look at the snowfall map, you can kind of see where that GFS is predicting those more snowfall amounts. I showed it earlier, but I'll go ahead and keep moving this through. So those higher amounts is where those lake effect bands might set up with the system and that low. Just kind of depends, but I am pretty confident there is going to likely be blizzard conditions. Possibly may even see a blizzard warning for some of these areas as the system moves closer on Friday. Here's a graphic from the National Weather Service out of Chicago, Illinois. Once again, talking about those blizzard conditions possible. That's going to be Friday night into Saturday. There's going to be snow area wide, significant blowing and drifting snow, northwest winds gusting 45 to 50. And so that's going to create dangerous travel conditions. So the National Weather Service is already mentioning blizzard conditions. And an update on the very, very dangerously cold temperatures that'll be occurring this weekend into the next week. Not much has changed on that, so don't really have too much of an update on this. However, wind chill watches are being issued in a lot of different areas. This is from the National Weather Service out of North Platte, Nebraska. Basically, the whole entire state is under a wind chill watch, and as you can see on this graph, I don't know how well you can see it, but some areas could receive a wind chill of negative 40 plus values. So very, very dangerous cold temperatures. And going ahead and taking a look at the severe weather threat for Friday. So as you can see, there's an enhanced risk throughout multiple different states: Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Around that, you have a slight risk in Mississippi, Alabama as well, parts of Georgia, parts of South Carolina, parts of North Carolina, and even some parts of Florida as well, the Florida Panhandle. I'll go ahead and turn this off. And then looking at the HRRR model run, this is showing the composite reflectivity, so what storms may look like based on the radar. Taking a look at the southeast area. So as we move this forward, this is into Thursday, and that squall line kind of moves across. However, once we get into Friday, you can see kind of more semi-discrete supercells throughout here that's kind of showing up, and we keep moving this forward, keeps moving along. I will say I'm not as confident in the severe weather and tornado potential on Friday, but it does certainly exist. We'll go ahead and take a look at some other parameters that are needed for severe weather, just kind of show what they're all showing and why confidence is kind of low. However, this could trend upwards again if these materials come together. So definitely something to keep an eye out on. And then of course with storms and tornadoes, you need the dew points, otherwise known as the moisture, in place for them to occur as well. So we'll go ahead and move this forward. As you can see, as we get into Friday, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, these dew points are in the mid 60s, upper 60s in some areas, and that will be where those storms will likely be. And then you can see not as strong dew points over here, so it'll be kind of interesting how that outlook pans out. But down here in the south and southeast, you don't really need super high dew points, as you got that Gulf moisture streaming in and right there available at any given time. And yet another ingredient you need is surface-based CAPE. This is also known as the energy within the environment that's going to be available to be used. So this, based on the CAPE, this is why I'm kind of not as confident. You do kind of have some values around 1,000 or so. Typically you want kind of a little bit more, but anything can happen. So yeah, there's not a whole lot of CAPE available, especially over here in Georgia and South Carolina into North Carolina. Just not a whole lot of CAPE available throughout this event, except for over here in kind of central Alabama, you got those higher CAPE values. And another important ingredient that you need for severe weather is shear. Otherwise, it's the change in wind with height. So there is a lot of shear available as we move this forward into 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. There's plenty of shear available throughout Alabama, and that moves into Georgia and then goes into South Carolina and North Carolina. So if other ingredients such as the CAPE become more favorable, definitely something to keep an eye out for the severe weather risk on Friday. However, in the last Storm Prediction Center update, they do mention that the storm mode remains uncertain. There is a concern that this environment may support and maintain discrete supercell development with a risk for strong tornadoes. Will be interesting to see if that changes. I know it's kind of late when I'm recording this video on January 10th, so there is going to be those changes for the outlook tomorrow. I'll leave any updates to that in the comments, but they are suggesting that there is the potential for strong tornadoes.